Aloha, everyone. Thank you for the gift of your time in joining us today. In just a few moments, Governor Josh Green will sign two bills relating to the low-income housing tax credit allocation and the establishment of the Banyan Drive Community Development District. Facilitated questions and answers with the media will follow promptly after remarks conclude, and the formal bill signing will commence shortly thereafter. Now it is my honor and privilege to introduce Governor Josh Green.
Aloha. Aloha. Great to see you guys. Thanks for being out here. Today we're going to talk about critical issues that revolve around housing and development. As everyone knows, we have to have a dynamic economy. We also have to be mindful that not the entire world revolves around Oahu and its development. We're going to talk specifically about Hilo, which is dear to us. We have a lot of our Big Island leadership here today. It's where I feel fortunate enough to have got to grow up as an adult and work, and my in-laws are in Hilo, my Auntie Dell, and we've watched over the years as Senator Noy, who's been our champion on these bills, along with her whole coalition and cohort from Big Island, Representative Todd leading the Finance Committee and others, we've watched changes in Hilo that sometimes hurt because we need the economy to be super vibrant. Thank you. It's great to have the mayor's team here. You guys are great. We know that the economy goes up and down on Big Island, but there are resorts. There are a lot of resorts in West Hawaii, on the Kona side, and that means that we have to have, and Lorraine will share this even more, I'm sure, a lot of support for small businesses and redevelopment. It's very central to what we do. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about housing, and we're going to talk about Hilo. So if I may, we're going to jump to the first slide. We've got two bills today. So I'm so appreciative of our housing advocates. Evelyn, you've been fantastic. I really feel lucky that you decided to come to the House. And our community partners, our county leaders, because everyone's got to work together to get this project done. Housing is our biggest challenge in Hawaii, in my opinion. Affordability is supreme. If we can't afford housing, we can't afford to keep our kids here in the state. That's why it's so smart that our House and Senate leadership are pressing these bills. It's our top priority as an administration. If our families can't afford housing, they leave. They go to Nevada and Utah and Texas and California, and then we don't have our grandchildren here and we don't have our workforce here. So that's why these guys are right on top of it. So these two bills today address the challenges in slightly different ways, but equally important angles. Let's there we go, to that first bill. Okay, so House Bill 1920, it furthers our housing financing mechanisms. You're going to hear some acronyms here in a second, but LIHTC specifically, this is the mechanism by which we are able to borrow money and bring extra money in to do major housing developments. And we have great developers here in our state. But without giving some finance mechanisms, we can't do it. No one can just put cash up and suddenly build all the housing. It doesn't work that way. So we needed this. This first measure highlights the way we will do LIHTC tax credits. It doesn't sound like a sexy thing. It is when you end up in a home. So affordable housing projects are hard to finance, and that's why we have this. A lot of times there are multiple sources of funding that you need. These tax credits can be transferred. They provide developers and investors a lot of flexibility to build houses for our families here. They can bring more affordable rental projects into our state and get them across the finish line. That's why we're extending this credit. And it goes without saying, I suppose, that it complements a lot of our other ways to finance housing. We have the Dwelling Unit Revolving Fund. That's DURF. You hear those words, those acronyms bounce around a lot. And also the Rental Housing Revolving Fund. That has been something that the legislature has been vibrantly funding for several years. And we need to have, longevity with these programs. That's how we build the 60,000 or more units that we need, homes that we need for our people. That will bring down prices. You saw just today in the paper that the median cost of a house in some parts of our state is $1.2 million. It's just too much for almost everyone, but this is one of the key mechanisms to get around that and to actually build housing more quickly. You see a picture there with all of us coming together, you see what it takes. You have one of our mayors, Mayor Blangiardi, me, Kali Watson. We have our congressional delegation. I see Ed there. I mean, it really has to be kind of all of us plus our developers who are there also in the picture. That's how we do this. So that's the first bill. And that will bring extra private investment. We're going to hear from one of our investors. I'm grateful for that, to reduce the financing gaps. So that's the one. This bill creates affordable housing. Then let's go to the next bill, Senate Bill 2001. This is more specific to this extraordinary place, Hilo. Hilo is still one of the gems of Hawaii. The traditions, the culture on the Big Island are absolutely amazing. I was honored to be the doctor at Bay Clinic there for many years. We share that. And it is a special place, but it needs to be revitalized. And that's where Senator Noy comes in. She has been on us to make sure that this happens. So we're highlighting this bill and we're honoring her because we are going to move to a place where we have a Banyan Drive Community Development District under HCDA. Thank you. Leaders from HCDA have been great. They've been helping us move housing. But this gives us a way to make this iconic place special again. And it just has taken that much extra work. So this brings together the community and developers and state. Our local representatives are all on board. That's why we have so many Big Island guys here. And our goal is really to revitalize this beautiful place. We want to revitalize Banyan Drive quickly so that there are local businesses and jobs created right there. That brings our capacity back to the neighbor islands to some degree because not everyone is going to choose to live on Oahu. We love Oahu, but the neighbor islands have something special to offer, but they do need to have this amazing housing. So we will do that too. All of these are going to come together. So you see financing, working together with a new development district, and that combination plus the very, very good work of our development community will, that'll make it happen. So I'm going to pause there, and I feel very fortunate to actually have the representatives from the district. We'll defer to Erica for our, kind of our cadence here, and then we'll have time for questions too if you just want to know more about what we're going to do in Hilo. Aloha.
Mahalo, Governor. Now please welcome Representative Chris Todd, Chair of the House Committee on Finance.
Hey, aloha, everyone. I'll try my best to be brief. I just wanted to thank the governor for hosting us today and his team. And I'll touch briefly on the LIHTC, that low income tax credit, and kind of what this bill does. But we do have someone with much more expertise that can get into more level of detail about that. But I just wanted to extend my thanks to our housing chair, Luke Evslin, for his work on this issue and on housing in general. I think to streamline the conversation, essentially, over the last handful of years, we've dedicated record numbers of resources and record funding for housing, alongside the leadership of our governor and him making this a real priority. But we do have a responsibility when dedicating hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to ensure that we're getting maximum benefit for those resources. And this bill will go a long way, not only through extending the credit itself, but providing more flexibility on the transfer of these credits so that we get more units for every dollar invested. And this is one, relatively important piece in a broad spectrum of legislation that will go a long way towards ensuring that we reverse some of these negative trends around our housing market and that middle-class families have places that they can actually afford and find a way to stay home. Maybe one day it'll help my sister move back, fingers crossed. But beyond that, I did want to touch briefly on the Banyan Drive legislation. This has been a very long time coming, and most of the non-Hawaii Island or even non-East Hawaii legislators have probably gotten really tired of hearing it and are very hopeful that they'll never have to hear Banyan Drive ever again here at the Capitol. But it's not lost on me that through this process, through the many, many years that this legislation has taken to come about, we've lost several people along the way. Over the past 10 years, we've lost in office, we've lost Representative Cliff Tsuji, Representative Mark Nakashima, and Senator Gil Kahele, each of whom have really dedicated an enormous amount of time and effort towards moving this legislation forward and setting the table for what this legislation has become. So I just wanted to, thank them for all of their efforts in getting us to this point, and also recognize the leadership that's being shown by our current County Mayor, Kimo Alameda. I don't think it can be overstated the way that Banyan Drive has seen more progress over the last year and a half, 2 years, than probably during the last 20. And that's due to the partnership between the state and county of improving these banyan trees, making sure that they're viable and healthy, that the area feels safer. And before I turn it over to Senator Inouye, I wanted to recognize we do have Representative Sue Liloy, who's been a tremendous asset both here within the State House, but also during her time at the county and moving this forward. We have our Water Land Chair here, Mark Hashem, who's also been a critical player in moving this forward and really, in some ways, deferring when he didn't need to East Hawaii leadership and what our vision for this area was. And I think before I move on, I just wanted to acknowledge that this takes a tremendous amount of cooperation. Back in like 2012, 2013, when I was finishing up college, I actually lived on Banyan Drive. Me and my wife shared an apartment with a friend of mine, and it's very dire, and it's only gotten worse. There was a street fight in the parking lot of my apartment complex where someone got hit over the head with a guitar, which I thought was only a thing that happened in movies. At one point, we had a fire alarm go off around 11 o'clock at night because someone had been welding a moped with fuel still in the tank on the 5th floor of our building, and we had to evacuate. So this is where we're asking our visitors to come, and this is the face of Hilo in a lot of ways. So I'm very hopeful that this will pave maybe a more robust way forward, and I'm very encouraged and thankful for our partnership with Senator Inouye, who's worked for many, many years to move this forward also. Thank you.
Mahalo, Representative Todd. Now please welcome Senator Lorraine Inouye, Chair of the Senate Committee on Transportation and introducer of SB 2001.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much, Gov, and our esteemed member of my district, Representative Todd, for being here as well. I'd like to add to the initial conversation with regards to HB 1920. And I'd like to say that on behalf of the Senate as well, we say mahalo and congratulations to Representative Evelyn and Representative Miyake for introducing this important House Bill 1920 and taking it to the finish line. And the House has done a tremendous effort in this measure. It took quite a while, but they got it right by the time it got to the Senate. This statewide bill, I'd like to add, will boost the state's affordable housing supply by extending the low-income housing tax credit to December 31st, 2032. And this extension will give the developers, and this is just to add as well, we're talking about housing, but we need to continue to make sure our developers are around and give them an opportunity to remain in their development stages for Hawaii, particularly on Oahu, as well as Maui in its efforts of development. And it's a time needed to finance and construct these affordable units and ensures that steady pipeline of affordable units remain financially viable for low-income residents for years to come. And, by permitting the developers to sell and transfer their state tax credits, HB 1920 helps the nonprofit and the private affordable housing developers raise immediate upfront capital, which is so important. And we talk about, survival. And this will make it significantly easier to finance and build these low-income housing projects across the state. And we say congratulations to HB 1920. Let's talk about SB 2001, and it's already been, a tremendous effort by being here. Thank you, mahalo, Governor. This is so important. And thank you so much to our House colleagues as well. And it's been an honor in introducing and championing this Senate Bill 2001 on behalf of our Hilo community, alongside many dedicated partners who share the passion, the commitment to the future of Banyan Drive, which has been a long time of Hawaii Island's most treasured places. And this is the gateway that welcomes residents and visitors alike as well. And, kudos, mahalo to DLNR. And let me say, credit when I returned to Senate District 1 as the senator, the discussions with the new administration, and I'd like to thank Chair Chang. She was a great listener when she started her directorship at DLNR and the discussions forthcoming. And she enabled the complete support. And mahalo to our new director who has taken over with our new director. And I'm so pleased that it carried over until today. And today is more than the signing of this bill. It is the beginning of a new chapter for the district built on partnership, stewardship, and a shared commitment for future generations. It'll create a district that honors history, supports local businesses, strengthens the visitor experience, protects our natural and cultural resources, and lasting economic opportunities. Now the work begins with HCDA, and recognizing and recognized by our governor as well. I have full confidence that they will work closer with the community, with DLNR, the lineal descendants, to advance this vision with transparency, collaboration, and thoughtful stewardship. As mentioned, my early business efforts before becoming a politician, I worked on Banyan Drive for 21 years. And I'll tell you, we were the biggest booming industry for East Hawaii during those years. And we're talking about the 60s, the 70s. At that time, we had, you wouldn't believe, 5 charter flights coming in weekly to Hilo. We had an abundance of room occupancies because we had, in addition to Hilo Hawaiian, the Nanilo, we had 3 more hotels at that time. And I'll tell you, it was such a beautiful place, and to see the deterioration over the last 20 years, it's so important. And I'll tell you, my fullest thank you and mahalo to my colleagues in the House and the Senate, as well as where we are today. Special mahalo, Governor. And I'd like to say that Mayor Alameda wanted to be here. His schedule was very tight, and we're so happy to have Managing Director Bill Brihanti here and Mayor's Administrative Assistant Micah Alameda here as well. That's the kind of cooperation and partnership that has been drumming up in the last several months, and actually speeding it up this year. And that's why kudos, I'll tell you, to my House counterparts as well. So with that said, Director, I see our Kanaka, our good friend right here, Director Kanaka Ole as well, the stakeholders, and again, I say HCDA, whose perseverance was instrumental in fulfilling my vision and our vision to make this legislation possible. Mahalo and congratulations to everyone, and it's such a great day. Aloha.
It's such a Big Island friendly room today. I would be remiss if I didn't say, as a proud Pahoa High School graduate, I'm very excited for Hilo. I spent a lot of time on Banyan Drive in my youth as well, not always during the day. Up next, please welcome Margot Lee, Regional Tax Credit Lead of Sugar Creek Capital.
Okay. Aloha, Governor Green, senators, representatives, and distinguished guests. I'm Margot Lee. I'm a longtime resident of Hawaii and representative from Sugar Creek Capital. Sugar Creek Capital is proud to have supported House Bill 1920 and the State of Hawaii Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. This continues to be part of the larger federal housing credit program that has been the most successful affordable housing development program in our nation's long history. Hawaii has been a longtime leader in leveraging state tax credits to maximize the federal program, and Sugar Creek Capital is proud to continue to support low-income housing in the state and has invested over $100 million in Hawaii housing projects during the last decade. We continue to be grateful to our partners at the HHFDC for being such strong stewards of these housing funds. Going forward, we at Sugar Creek look forward to further investing Hawaii's low-income housing tax credit program while continuing to look for ways to innovate the program to be beneficial and efficient and impactful to the people of Hawaii. In closing, I'd like to thank the building industry of Hawaii and EAH Housing for being here in support of the bill. Mahalo and aloha.
Mahalo, Margot. We will now take facilitated questions from the media. We have Raquel from Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, and thank you, Governor. I'm in this corner. But I was going to ask, can you talk about how much funding is going into the revitalization of Banyan Drive, and as everything is redeveloping, how are you going to keep Hilo voices at the center?
I'm going to bring our finance chair up to chat about that. Before we get to that, I just want to say, this is a small town. And so when we support Hilo, we do it kind of with these family relationships. So that's why it was so extraordinary to hear the stories of the chair and how Erica was there and how she broke a guitar over him when he was living there. You just never know how these things are going to all come together. And then they got care at the clinics that we were working in. So it's a very intimate place. The way we're going to do this development district will be outlined by HHFDC, but why don't we talk about the monies that are going to come in?
Sure. Well, it's a little bit complicated. We have some ongoing projects. We just completed, through the help of our governor, getting funding released early, collaboration with Councilmember Leloy and leadership at the state legislative level. We just completed the demolition and kind of return to green space for the Uncle Billy's Hotel. There's funding for the Country Club property, which Senator Inouye can probably touch on. And then there's also separate pots of funding for the existing master plan process and what will be the operation of this kind of community-driven board. I do think that it is important that this is a conversation that while we're leveraging expertise that can be found elsewhere, like here in Honolulu, that this is the vision that is realized from the community of Hilo. And I think that our partner here, Craig Nakamoto, has done an excellent job of trying to maintain that balancing act of convening a process where we've had numerous stakeholders, numerous community members consulted and continuing through that process to be consulted. And through the board itself, we will have a lineal descendant position on the board as well as multiple other community members. And we're all very, very invested in making sure that this is something that is right-sized and that really makes sense for the future of Hilo. And that'll be the priority moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you for the question as well. And just to add on, the cost of where we are today, and that's why we're thanking kudos and lots of kudos to Governor as well. With the demolition of the Country Club, $14 million is the start. And, talking about whatever happens in demolition, you know that sometimes there's other things that pop up, like environmental concerns as well. And so it's a continual, but at least, you know, we can say that $14 million is going into that. But let me also say, though, that there is an important element to this at the start. And that's why the cooperation with DLNR and the administration is acquiring the golf course. Without the golf course, there's no continued development. And where we are today, and I can thank, and that's why I, thanked Chair Chang at that time, was the start of communication with the Naniloa Hotel, because they are the operating they have the opportunity and the contract and the lease to the golf course. And so with that said, this 2.5 years ago when I started this project was the acquisition and communication to the Naniloa Hotel. And again, the job that Chair Chang did and the follow-up with Chair Kanakaoli, Director, is very, very important. And so we have provided, and Governor, that's the opportunity for him to approve the $270 million that we have provided in the measure to do weather. And I believe, and we can have the director here to confirm that. I think at this point in time, because Governor is signing our bill, that probably going into eminent domain. And so having said that, the acquisition of the golf course is the biggest, right? It's not an obstacle anymore because we're determined between the administration and the legislature that we move forward into this project. Now, with that said, that's why the commitment with the $270,000 that the governor has already approved in the budget, that moves ahead as well. Now, not only that we're concerned about the country club, but in addition to the continued development is seeing what we're going to do with the other two properties, the other two apartments. Leases are coming up, and that's why it's so important, continued dialogue between all of us and DLNR on the future leases so that acquisitions can take place. Just to let you know that we already know with the demolition of the apartment with Country Club, we can't use that for development, for future developments because of seawater rise and all the concerns with regards to the environmental concerns on the ocean fronts. So that's why the importance of the golf course is so important to move this ahead as well. So the contributions between that measure and what's in the budget will take us and the path as we move along. Now, I want HCDA to come and answer some of your questions that you may have because the responsibilities is going to be, it's already started because they've already had worked on the $1 million that was appropriated a couple of years ago, with the concerns community measures that had to be done initially as well. And so, this is it. We're moving along, and thank you for the question.
Mahalo. Next, we have Jocelyn from KHON.
In the last round of testimony, OHA offered some comments, and there were a few critics that argued that the community voices, especially Native Hawaiians and those of dissent, would not be represented enough under the current bill. How can you assure community members that their voices will be heard every step of the way?
I got it. Yeah, so my intent is to have a fully inclusive process. I was on the phone even with the chairman of OHA today, and Chair Kahele and I agree that housing is central to all that we need to do. There's no doubt that there has to be input. There's a lot of strong opinions always when there's housing in a district. There are also a lot of our Native Hawaiian community members on the Big Island. Including my wife's family. So, there's no doubt that we'll have Native Hawaiian voices at the table, and HHFDC, just from an administrative standpoint, is able to really guide us. all I can tell you is our team is trying to be as inclusive as possible to the extent that we are able to. And the legislature's even been very, very understanding when we even used some emergency proclamations to move housing and homelessness along. And then they followed it up with enormously impactful legislation like this. This is meant to accelerate housing. We don't like to pause in our administration. And housing for any community also ends up manifesting in a positive way to DHHL, colleagues working very closely with OHA in different parts of the state. So these are examples. So there's no shortage of collaboration, but we don't want to wait. I think the people of Big Island have waited long enough for a housing boom, and that's why we're lucky to have the mayor feel the same way. We completely agree.
And just to add, if that is, the question is in reference to the Banyan Drive bill as well, which was, and that's why, I personally thank, and we've been thanking our colleagues in the House in working with this. But just to let you know, and I think Craig, come on up, because I think you have to understand that HCDA has a policy, and it's an authority that has been established many, many years ago. And their policy with regards to their authority and the policy that involves all of the membership is actually, with Banyan Drive, we added a little more to it because their policy doesn't cover more than any district that's developed by HCDA is limited. So let me share HCDA's policy, and that's why we decided with the administration that the HCDA is the best development arm for this project. Thanks, Greg.
Good morning. Craig Nakamoto. I'm the Executive Director of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The planning process is all about listening to all the voices in the community. The number one priority I gave to my staff and to our consultants is that we have to listen first, talk second. We're relying on a group of advisory committee members right now who we met with just last week to help guide us through this process. Tell us what we don't know, tell us what we need to know, and help shape this vision. I think as Governor mentioned, this is a community-driven master plan. It's not HCDA's master plan. It's not the legislators' master plan. It's the community's master plan. It's going to be informed by community voices, community thoughts. The land uses there will be informed by community visions, working with county, and I really appreciate the county's input and others, including OHA, including DHHL and others. And that's the way we envision it. We expect to complete the master plan by mid-2027, then the next step would be to start working on our rules and get that done in a couple of years. We have to do environmental impact statements, other kinds of analysis, all before we get to that point. But we've had a good start thanks to some funding we received through an appropriation from the late Representative Nakashima, who really helped drive this. So we were able to get a kickstart, as Senator Inouye mentioned. So thank you for the question.
Mahalo, Governor. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, so suffice it to say there will be appropriations forthcoming for housing on the Big Island, and specifically housing in Hilo. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. When you do something of this scale, as you can see, the community's got to come together. So it will be done in partnership with the multiple agencies, but particularly with the guidance of the mayor's team and the representatives from Hilo. We know that their tasked with taking in all the input from all the people of Big Island. And to back it up, we'll see the LIHTC tax credits available so that we can also prepare our development community to hit the ground running, to build these homes for the people of Big Island. So again, thank you very much. And I guess it's time to sign these pieces of legislation. So come along. Yes, come.
At this time, we would like to invite our key stakeholders and legislators to join the governor for the bill signing and, of course, the photo opportunity.
So this first bill, HB 1920, is again relating to the low-income housing tax credit. Sexiest title of all bills in history. It makes it possible for us to afford to do developments for affordable housing. And people should get used to hearing that because we're going to be using it quite a lot to help us through the housing crisis. So again, thank you, legislative leaders. You've been wonderful on this bill. There we go.
Yes.
Okay. And then the second bill, as you've heard quite a lot about, relating to Banyan Drive Community Development District. Look, this is in the family. You see a lot of Big Island faces here. The goal really is to revitalize this space. And Hilo is a magical space. It just needs a little love, and that's what this bill is all about. Love for the Hilo community. And it comes right from the vision of Senator Inouye and her team. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Yes, there we go.
Mahalo, everyone. This concludes our formal program.
Very cool.
Everyone can stay right there.